You might be interested to know how this all came about. What kind of mentality brought it all about? I'd like to say something about that. You might have noticed since, I don't know, maybe even more than 10 years ago, something happened at the stock market. It seemed to become like a casino. And the phenomenon of day traders started appearing. I know back in 2003, 2000, and before that time, I had family in the States that were trading on the stock market. And they thought it was a good way to make money. And of course, it is a good way to make money. You risk an investment with money, and you hope you can get that investment back in a return. What you're really doing is trying to make money with money. Governments have done that. Big companies have done that. Local governments have done that. Banks have done that. And individuals have done that. The problem is that you're not creating any more value. Money does not make value. Humans make value through money by creating things. And if you consider that simple concept, how much business and how much governments have invested in funds and bonds and all this stuff, making money out of money, everything's just come out of control. And it's come so out of control that there is 4 times more debt than there is legal tender on the planet. That means if this continues, that there will only be one man standing, and that just isn't going to work. Even science has come to the conclusion that for any human institution, group of people, or even inanimate thing, if it's going to realize its potential, it has to have zero competition. Now, a lot of people think competition is what motivates you. But it doesn't have to be that way. Competition, in the sense that I'm thinking about, is about winning. And if you're winning, somebody else is losing, if it's a competition. Now, that's okay in games, but when it comes to life, it's a different thing. We don't want competition in life, not as a child, not as a young adult, not at school. We want freedom to be able to move from the inside out from our emotions under self-guidance, self-intelligence, self-awareness in an intelligent way to be what we can be. And that means not sitting in front of the TV eating cheese doodles. Because you're a long way from being what you can be if that's where you're resting right now. I call that the comfort zone. That is probably the disdain of humanity, the living for consumption and entertainment that really doesn't do anything but parks your brain. So many people have lost the ability to think for themselves and they've been hypnotized by the language that is used for propaganda and public relations. That governments, banks, and big companies, non-governmental organizations spend millions of dollars on creating lies so that you will buy their pigs with lipstick on. Most of humanity is hopelessly confused. They think their moral compass is found in a law book somewhere, when it's really in your emotions. You know when you're doing something wrong. So with that being said, this is about a big turnaround for humanity. Humanity has not only met a fiscal wall, much of humanity has met the realization that there's something very seriously wrong with the way we do things. And because money is at the root of most of human social infrastructures, money is the key to making the changes work the way we want. I've been aware of the dissatisfaction, the frustration, the sense of hopelessness and helplessness in humanity for a long time. Lately, the last couple of years, I've noticed this total sense of fragmentation, where parents and children can't even talk together because they have different views on how life is, so they go their each own way. And people are so busy today with their lives on this treadmill of consumerism. Ahead of you is just another paycheck. And after that, a whole bunch of bills and another paycheck. And then you want some more things to keep you satisfied. That's not really a life. That's normal. Most people think that if you're not normal, you need medication. I would say if you're normal, you need medication. Because normal is mediocrity. Now, you might think you're normal because you're just like everybody else, but consider the statistical bell curve. That's normal where it's at the highest. But you've got something over to the right side of that higher part. Way over on the right side, you will find extraordinary. Extremely extraordinary. See, you want to be an extremist in your life. When it comes to performance. And I'm not talking about running 100 yards or a mile or something like that. I'm talking about the satisfaction you achieve out of being a creative human, living with your passion, to do something, to discover something, to master something, to be good at something, to be recognized for something that's good for other people. And because everybody today is chained to some job that they really don't need to create value, they're creating negative value for themselves and society. You might be working as an administrator in the state or government, local, federal, whatever. And what are you really doing? Are you creating value in some way? Or are you simply regulating? All this has to come down to a couple of very interesting questions about authority and money. Now, of course, when you have a system that is run by money from a select few, where the name of the game is ordained by those select few for the few and not the people, then you get what we have today. A pyramid structure where the people on the bottom take all the crap from the people on the top. And it's not working. Never has, never will. We've come to the point of technological advancement today where humanity can eradicate itself in the blink of an eye. It's tried to do that many times and been stopped because it's not supposed to happen. To put it bluntly, this shit has got to go. We have to come to our senses. There are environmental problems on this planet that are so serious, that are created by the debt economy that has again created competition for the truth, hiding the truth, keeping secrets, that the news you get on regular news has nothing to do with news, for the most part. You need to know that the planet is changing. I've been monitoring those energies for a long time. I've known about it since 1987. Every day I look at the internet information about the sun's activities, earthquakes, that sort of thing. I know the energies of the earth have changed. The plasma fields have condensed. There's new energy emanating from the plasma field, the core of the earth, that has never been registered before, but you didn't know that. A lot of awake and aware people, especially those spiritually inclined, have been looking for something called ascension for at least since 2000. There have been rumors of something going on, something would happen on the planet. I've been following those rumors ever since 1989. They're really strange. They take you right out into a territory that has nothing to do with the reality you see on TV. And it makes you kind of wonder, is there something wrong with you because you might think this is real? Well, I've done a lot of serious research, really serious research, and I found those changes absolutely to be real. They're measurable today, and NASA knows about it. But you don't, because it pays to keep secrets. But it's not good for humanity. Because Mr. Sakli has invested in Department of Defense and Area 51 and other things. He knows what is possible. And he knows that what could have been used to benefit humanity for transportation, information, energy, things that you would not believe until you see it, are real. They're really real. It's not a fantasy. Space travel, the way we've done it, is like the Chinese used to do rockets. They put explosives in the back and hope it moves forward. There are other ways to do that. The American government knows that, at least some people. We don't need wheels. We don't need highways. We don't need huge supertankers, and we don't need very costly oil platforms. It's all to make money. We move goods around now in a way that, for example, if I buy a fish that was caught in Norwegian waters, and I buy that in a Norwegian store, I have to know that that fish has gone all the way to China. It's been thawed out. It's been prepared with chemicals and a bunch of other stuff, refrozen, and shipped back to Norway. Now that's effective, isn't it? And we wonder why everything is about the money. It's because we've forgotten about what money is really all about, people. Money is about helping people to create value, real value. So why have a job that makes things more expensive or less effective? Or just that's something that's going to bother somebody else? What kind of value are you really providing? If you're working by writing tickets to cars or people that own cars all day because they haven't obeyed the rules, life seems to be like a fishing trip, you know? Or a hunting trip. To survive, you've got to catch somebody's money. So you go fishing, and you figure out these ways to lure people to your bait. And you don't have to really provide value. It just has to look that way. And the only thing that counts is that you get the money, right? But you don't like to be treated that way, do you? When you spend your money on something, you'd like to expect that to be the value that you get back. But it's never that way, is it? Why do you think things fall apart right after the guarantee goes out? It's because it's good for the economy. Listen to the language. It's good for the economy. But think for yourself. Is it really good for humans? I remember one time during the winter, I saw a tow truck. And on the tow truck, there was a sign that said, "Your crash, my cash." That's a shame, but that's the way it's been, and it's killing us all. It should be, "Your crash, I'm there to help you." Not there to take all your money. Because that person that crashed has also something of value to provide. Maybe not to you immediately, but maybe your children, maybe your neighbors, maybe a whole nation. You don't know that. Because money has isolated us. It's fragmented us into teams, companies that work in isolation because they have to. They're forced to compete. And because we're all forced to compete, we don't know about each other, do we? You can live in a high-rise apartment with hundreds of people living inside, but do you know your neighbors? No, you've got to keep secrets. You've got to keep your private life. But how private is your private life? Because, really, The government's listening to everything you do and say because it's part of the competition. They need to know if they're going to win or lose. So it's about winning or losing, people. It's about winning or losing in life, and there's one way to win in competition. You'll be the last man standing. There's another way to win in cooperation, and that's where everybody wins.